Switch speakers. Welcome, Mary Beth Thacker. So happy to have you here.
Oh, so happy to be here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage if that's okay.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you, Haley. And hey, Carolyn just did an awesome presentation, and Mirtha as well. What I'm here to talk to you about today a little bit is how to have a better relationship with money. So that was a great transition from Carolyn's speech. Uh, Thank you so much for asking me to be here. My name is Melissa Beth Thacker, and I am incredibly passionate about empowering women and their families to have a better relationship with money and financial security. What I thought I'd start today with is to give a personal money history overview, the 360 view. I grew up with a paternal grandfather that every time he saw me, he did this with my cousin as well, and said, Bethy, get your education. It's the only thing they can't steal from you. It will give you an edge. Who are they? I used to think. The sad and ironic result is that my grandfather did end up with dementia, and they stole his education, which helped form me. Even though he'd only had an eighth grade education, he learned to plan well financially for my grandmother and himself. They were never a burden to their families, and they even left a small inheritance to their two children and eight grandchildren after my grandmother passed away at 94 years old and living in a facility for over 10 years. They had done well with their money. On the other side, though, my maternal grandparents ran a bar restaurant that I started working at the age of 13. They lived above the restaurant, and every morning my grandfather would come down, pour himself a draft beer, and sit at the end of the bar and read the newspaper until it was time to cook for lunch. He would cook through lunchtime, and then afterwards, he'd sit back down at the end of the bar, and the bookies would start coming in through. Interestingly enough, I learned how to bet on the horses at the age of 9, and later became the marketing director of the first Greyhound track to open in Texas. But those grandparents ended up living on my mom's property in a mobile home, and my mom became my grandfather's caregiver after my grandmother passed away. You may wonder why this is important. In America today, the average American makes approximately 6 to 10 financial decisions every day. Those decisions can be as simple as buying a cup of coffee to as complex of what should I do with my 401k? I think what is most important about that is those decisions are completely unguided. Right now, personal finance is not taught in high schools, colleges, or graduate programs across the United States. Most people typically learn about personal finance from talking to their parents or their grandparents, who typically didn't have any formal financial education as well. Most people simply learn about it through trial and error. Money is such an important thing and it affects us all, but we typically learn about it through trial and error. Think about it. I bet 80% of the people that see this will have had some kind of issue with credit card debt in their lifetime. I did. Even though I'm a financial advisor, before I became a financial advisor, I went through a period where I came out of college with a master's degree and $40,000 in debt. That took quite a while to pay down. Money is the number one thing young people worry about. Worse, 76% of the country feel out of control when it comes to money. Think about your 4 best friends. 3 of them feel out of control with money. 63% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck. More than 50% of the country is not quite sure how they're going to pay their bills next month. This is staggering. Think about the stress that this creates for all those individuals and those families. Even though a 2022 study estimated that Americans will need $1.25 million to retire comfortably, the average American retirement savings was only $86,869 in 2022. Nearly 60% of Americans have no retirement savings at all. Think about some of the indoctrination regarding money that you have learned over the years. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money can't buy you happiness. You either master money, or on some level, money masters you. Lack of money is the root of all evil. If wealth was the inevitable result of hard work and enterprise, every woman in Africa would be a millionaire. Most Americans do not understand that good financial planning outlines that 60% of your income should be spent on fixed living expenses. Now, that's the manual toothbrush, not the electric one. 40% should go towards discretionary. Now, that's the electric toothbrush. And that 20% should go towards your savings. If a 25-year-old today starts saving $381 per month, they could be a millionaire by the time they reach 65. But if you wait until you're 35, that amount now needs to be $920 per month. If you wait until 45, $1,920 per month needs to be saved to make you a millionaire by the time you're 65. And if you wait till 55, you need to save $5,778 per month invested in the market to be able to be a millionaire by the time you're 65. Many people don't even make that much money in a month's time. Think of a 22-year-old coming out of college today and starting a job for, say, $35,000 per year. That will net her only $2,300 per month. If she were to save 20%, that would be $460 per month, much more than the $381 you need to save. But that would only leave her $1,840 to live on. If she settled in a large city, that wouldn't even cover rent. While they can't even pay their bills, they definitely aren't thinking about retirement savings when they come out of college. We need to be teaching our youth today the 5 money principles to live on. You need to follow a budget, live beneath your means, be debt-free, pay credit cards in full, have an emergency savings account. Emergencies happen. You're going to need money for the unexpected. Most importantly, negotiate your salary. Your voice is the loudest. Many young people come out of college and they accept what they're earning and they can go for a number of years without a raise. They don't understand that they've got to ask and ask. The more times you ask, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Retirement is something to think about in your 20s. The power of compounding lets you save less and end up with more. Now let's look at 3 reasons financial planning is different for women. First, let's take a minute to celebrate women. Women finally have crossed the board and are in control of 51% of the wealth today in the United States. It's still growing, but we're still faced with many financial struggles. Women still earn less than their male counterparts. Same job. They make 83 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterpart. So when they're contributing their percentage to the 401k of what the male does, their rate of return is less. So by the end of the year, they end up with $2,700 less in their 401k. Compound that over a 30-year period, and you will end up with over $300,000 less than your male counterpart, even though you both are saving the same percentage. But on another note, If you're putting all of your savings into your 401k with the thought you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you get to retirement, many people are shocked to find when they get there that they're still in the same tax bracket and sometimes higher. Think about it. What did the US do recently? They raised their debt ceiling, right? In our current environment, what do you think is going to happen to taxes? Over COVID, the government gave individuals $2 trillion and another $484 billion in funding small business programs and healthcare provisions in the CARES Act. Second reason women's financial planning is different is because women are the caregivers 66% of the time. Maybe you take off time off of work to have a child. Maybe you only work part-time while raising your children. Maybe you take off time later in your career to help with an aging parent. There's so many scenarios that women end up working less than men. And as an example, if you took off 2 years to have a child, your retirement savings as compared to your male counterpart now is $500,000 less over that same 30-year period. And top that off to the third reason, women live longer. The CDC shares that women live on average 5 years less or 5 years more than men. So now that you've earned less, took off 2 years for caregiving, you end up with $800,000 less saved to get you through retirement. You're going to live longer, and because women have babies and go to the doctor more, healthcare is more expensive. With healthcare being the biggest expense in retirement, and it costs more for women, and you live longer but have less, what are you going to do? What I can promise you is that if you are being proactive with your money, savings only a small part, and being intentional, especially while being guided by a good financial professional versus doing it on your own, you can reach all of your financial goals. That doesn't mean leaving it up to your husband, especially since there is a 50% divorce rate, and statistically you'll outlive him by more than 5 years. It's time to take your finances in control. Write this down. Procrastination is the enemy of wealth. Your wealth is determined by the decisions you make today. You must be intentional. Mirtha started out our talks today talking about setting boundaries. And I thought that was very, very valid because we as women will give to other people everything before we take care of ourselves. And one of the biggest ways that is in handling your finances. Carolyn, entrepreneur, 7-figure, figured it out, looked at it a different way, took control of that. That's amazing. So what are you going to do today to help strengthen your financial security and make sure you have the lifestyle that you want in retirement or even before? And that's all I have for you today. Haley?
Hey there. I was sitting here trying to find the button on my keyboard. Everybody, let's give Beth a huge thank you and a huge round of applause because this is stuff that's, I don't think, talked about enough. Like the real, honest, salary, caregiver, we live longer. We kind of like do it to ourselves almost in 1,000 different ways. From a financial planning perspective. So thank you for helping raise awareness and educating, because I do believe that getting started earlier is
key.
Path to wealth. It is absolutely key. Thank you so much for being here today. How would somebody go about getting in touch with you?
mbeththacker.nm.com is my website, and mbeth.thacker@nm.com is my email. So feel free to reach out. We do feel like our job is to educate people about finances, and we're happy to do so any way that we can. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions at any time.
Cool. Thank you so much, because I think
Thank,
that this is just super valuable. Thank you for being a speaker today. I really appreciate you.
thank you for asking, Haley, and I love your butterflies.
Thank you. I was trying for being a little bit more upbeat today. So thank you.
Yay! Good job.
Yay, we did it.
You did
Thank
it.
you. And you've got the birds chirping in the background. I've been loving listening to the birds. So thank you so
Good.
much. And everybody, let's give Beth a huge thank you for being here today. And I'm going to say thank you. And we're going to